So, hello, Samantha. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. That's a very pretty dress.
Thank you.
So, we're going to continue our conversation about observation. Our focus for today is observing the child's rhythm. The rhythm is the continuous pattern of actions, the predictable pattern of actions. So, Samantha, why don't you share with us your observations today?
So today was again a typical morning for Q. So it was different from yesterday, but like the other days it was typical. She would come in smiling, waving to her teacher. She would give her mom a hug, and then she would wave bye to her mom. But I noticed that she said something. So her mom was putting on her shoes while she was still in the stroller, and when the mom was done, Q said, "All done." And then, you know, and I was like, I have never heard that, because her mom always like puts her shoes on before taking her out of the stroller. But today she said, "All done." And then her mom was like, "Yes, we're all done." And then took her out of the stroller. So, yeah.
So based on observing a child's rhythm, their predictable flow of actions, this was a part of her rhythm. Her rhythm is to come to the daycare, to jump right in. Her and her mother have a ritual that they go through, but she goes right. So her rhythm is to get right in there. Today you noticed her saying "all done" though. What do you think that might have been, where she might have gotten that from?
Well, I heard the teacher and her usually use that language when it's like eating time. So, because the teacher told me that the mom was teaching Q how to sign, so like saying "more" and "all done," and so the teacher would sign it and say it like "all done," just to like make sure that, you know, she's not mixing them up, because there was a bit of confusion at first when they were still learning the signs. So the teacher would always be like "all done," and then she would repeat it and say "all done," and so I guess she started moving on to other things instead of just like eating.
So that's really interesting. So part of her rhythm now, she understands the flow of she understands it. She knows when it's finished. And it now is starting to be the one to put the period to the end of her actions. Okay, what else did we observe?
I also saw her playing in the sprinklers with her hand, but this time she was like wetting her hand and then putting it to her mouth as if she was trying to drink it. And so then the teacher saw that and thought maybe she wanted some water, so she gave her the bottle, and she didn't want the bottle. She wanted, like, you know, to keep playing with the sprinkler and like trying to drink the water from there. And she would like suck on her hand, like trying to get the water out, but she would just go like this, so no water was actually there, like cupped in. So yeah, she was trying to drink the water.
Well, she was exploring it
with her hand in her mouth.
With her hand in her mouth. I mean, children, that's one of their prime areas of exploration is their mouth. Is that their hands in their mouths. I saw a photo once of a young child, birth to 3, and if we highlighted the areas that they use to build those neural networks based on sensory input, they would have giant hands and giant lips, because those activate the most neural pathways in the brain. So what else did you observe? So you observed her building her neural pathways.
So I did what we were talking about yesterday with the leaves, and I collected a bunch of different leaves. There were like big ones like the size of my head, and there were really small ones that you would find like near the grass. So I collected like pretty ones, like green ones, yellow ones, brown ones, like all types of different shapes and colors that I could find at the park. And I put them there, and she looked at it, and then she just kept playing in the water. And then after her snack was when she went to the leaves, and she started like fanning them and like just waving them around and shaking it. And then she started to tear apart the leaf from the stem. So I have a video of that. I just have to send it.
Okay, so please send me that, because that's very interesting. We noticed yesterday her interest in the leaves. So today Samantha wanted to support that interest by collecting more leaves. But as you described, she was following her interest, which was to explore the water. Like I said, outdoors is our best science lab for children. It's better than NASA, because they have everything they need to develop their curiosity, their engagement, and also their understanding of the world. She's learning about the properties of water when she's doing that. She's teaching us what water is and how you can use it and how you can engage with it. So it's always very exciting to watch. My experience of listening to your observation, what is your experience of conducting the observation?
Wait, that's a question?
That is a question. What is your experience? I'm saying it's my experience. It's so exciting to me that you're the one observing. So
yeah, it's different. I will say that it's different from just being a teacher and just taking care of the children versus actually observing them and like taking the time to really just zone in and focus on the child and try and like see if there's any patterns and like what do they like, what are their interests, what do they usually gravitate towards, and like what can you do to help them, you know, find new interest or like help broaden their interest, or you know, help the like, you know, just kind of help them and see what else they might need. So it's very different and I enjoy it a lot. I do. It's very like, I feel like I have a bunch of different questions and I want to ask her, but like I can't really ask her, you know, because you know, she's gonna like talk back, but you know, not in a way that I would understand.
So that is so important what you're saying. Observing her raises all of these questions in you about her. So you can't talk to her like you would say to your friend, like, why didn't you eat the potatoes? But how can you answer those questions? How can you answer the questions that come out of observing a child?
I guess what I've been doing the past few days with seeing what it is that she's interested in and then like helping with that and see if she's still interested in, like with the leaves. Yesterday I saw that she was very into leaves, so today I was like, okay, let me bring out a bunch of different leaves and see if maybe she has, you know, a bigger interest in leaves than we thought before. But you know, just trying to communicate through the material.
Right. So one of the ways that you can answer your questions about children is by observing them and by adapting the environment based on what you think might be going on with them. Are there any other ways that you can think of? So those are two very important through observation. We continue to observe them. We're talking about the rhythm of a child, and the way you know their rhythm is they are predictable actions over time. So it's over time those questions get answered. And that's really important, to give yourself the time, not to assume that we know where a child is, because like the other day you said that her arrival was very different than the way it usually is. Now, if we just based our opinion on her based on that one day, we would have a different way of thinking about her. So it's over time we get to know that rhythm. So can you think of other ways that you might be able to answer your questions about a child?
I feel like those were like the biggest ones to me off the bat.
What about, I'm going to give you a little help with this one. What about if you notice something that raised curiosity in you, where might you look to find the answer if you were not getting the answer from the child?
The family.
Family is one. That's a good place. Then going to the parents. I noticed this. Have you noticed this before? Or what do you think that means? The parents are always the first teacher, and they always know their child best. So we always want to recognize and respect that. And then where else might you go? You're a professional. You're an educator.
The teacher as well, because I'm not the teacher, you know, it's someone else, and they spend the entire day with them.
Right,
So,
that's
because
very
I've learned
good.
a lot from the teacher about the children, and it helps like piece things together, because I'm just looking, but I don't really have context. But since, you know, the teacher has been with them for a while, she, you know, is like, okay, like, you know, they like to do this, this, and that, and, like, I've noticed this, and like the child is like this at home, and like, you know, because they have that communication with the family and the child for longer than I have.
Right. The family, the continuous caregiver. But also, I'm going to give you this one. You're a professional. There is much research on child development. So it's important to observe the children. That's where we go to first. We go to the children first. We go to the families. We go to the people who know them best. But we also go to best practice and research. So a lot of this, I mean, I'm a trained Montessori teacher, and for us, where we start with is the natural world. We start with natural science. That's the basis of the curriculum. So that's why I know this stuff about the natural world, because there's a lot of research that's been done about child development. So we go to the research. What do you think about that?
I feel like it's a foundation to know and understand what it is that we're doing, because every child is different, so not everything is going to apply to every child, but I feel like it's a good foundation and baseline to start off with. And then, you know, because just I feel like observing the child, each individual child, is I think the most important thing, because every child is different, and I've noticed like the very big differences between just the three of them. And yeah, I think the research is good foundation to like get a feel for what it is that you're doing and looking for, and you know, to get some questions answered, but it's not always definitive when it comes with the children.
Well, we're not looking for any standard. So we're not looking for what is the milestone for a 13-month-old and what should a 13-month-old be doing. But there are predictable patterns of development that have been researched. Since we use the Pickler approach, we would go to the Pickler research, which we believe in, trust, rely on. We have seen the results of that work, and we've seen the results of that work with our own children. So that's where we would go. And next week, we're going to be looking at more of the research, more of the developmental, not expectations, but what we noticed over time, over years with children and their development. And we'll be basing that on Pickler and Montessori, which we believe and has been demonstrated is the best approach for supporting the healthy development of young children. So thank you so much, Samantha. Thank you for your observation. Thank you for donating your time, your mind, and your body to best practices for children.
Thank you.